Hey, everybody. I am super excited to have Kellyanne Maddox on as my guest. She's one of the very first tarot YouTubers that I watched. And, I'm always kind of critical of tarot YouTubers because I'm a professional and I've been doing this since 85. But she really resonated with me. Even when she said stuff that I was like, Kellyanne, it still made sense because it was her opinion. And she's really careful to make sure that you understand what's her opinion and her experience, and she doesn't come across as this is the only way, which, as everybody knows, annoys the Aquarius rising in me when people do that. If you sell me an ultimate or the only, I'm going to giggle. I may buy it, but I'm still going to laugh. But please welcome from the Four Queens, Kellyanne Maddox. Thanks, Kellyanne. How are you?
I'm really good, honey bunny. How are you doing?
I am doing great, though. It's not switching back and forth. There, now we can see you and we don't see me as much, but that's okay.
Okay.
So what time is it there? You're across the pond from me.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock in the evening here.
Okay, and it's 1 here in the afternoon, so not
cool.
too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, I've gotten much better with the time differences now from seeing clients for so long on the other side of the pond. So I'm like much better than I was.
Right. I have somebody in Japan, and then I've also got somebody over in Italy who's actually a British expat. And at first, the time differences, we both, we'd show up at the wrong times.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your bananas.
Oh, my bananas. Do you know what? I was saying for ages to a few people, in the 80s, my mum had banana earrings. She had banana earrings and she had parrot earrings. And I was like, I really want some banana earrings. I just need them. And then I forgot all about them. And then I was in Camden. I think it was on my birthday. I was in Camden doing some shopping. Camden is like the awesome alternative market that everybody wants to go to when they hit up London, where you can just get like all the cool stuff. And I found these banana earrings. And I think I screamed. And I was like, yes, finally, I can become my mother. All through my 20s, I was like, I'm not like my mom. And then now I'm 32. I'm like, I want to dress like my mum dressed when I was like 6. How can we make that happen? Can anyone make that happen? So it's happening.
It's so cool. Let me, y'all, Kellyanne, just keep talking a minute. I'm going to close my office door because the dogs have decided to bark at leaves falling in the next town.
Oh, lovely. I wish I had a pet. I'm so jelly. Well, I do. I've got a lizard, guys. But she's not very cuddly, She's she's kind of more she's scaly, and she likes solitude. But she lets us hold her, and she'll run around on us and stuff, and she's great, but she doesn't want to cuddle up at night time, and she certainly doesn't want to bark at leaves.
Well, I have 5 dogs and 4 cats. Take your pick.
I'm so jealous. I can't wait to have a ground floor place with a garden so I can take a rescue cat in. I hope that's what's going to happen anyway. Be excellent. I'd love that. I can't wait.
So today I'm going to grill you. I'm going to ask you my 13 things I want to know about you. And everybody knows the joke that I've got at least 15 questions because I don't count well. But what's the very first thing that you can remember hearing about witches? In literature and cartoons, somebody talking about it, a book. Where did you first hear the concept witch?
The very first exposure I should imagine I probably had to it was Disney. It's a very generic way, but it's, you know what? My Uncle Bernard used to tell ghost stories, and I'm absolutely sure he used to put witches in them. But obviously the ones that were, and he was a great ghost storyteller, but the ones that were really the most influential were the Disney witches, Maleficent, and the witch from Snow White. And they very much stuck with me. And Ursula, the sea witch from The Little Mermaid. I look back on Disney now and I see that it's very problematic in a lot of ways, but it's like a problematic fave for me. I grew up on Disney, so I'm never not going to love Disney. And the witches were great. They're timeless. They're really iconic. They're so cool.
I agree with you on, and Disney, they've listened, right? They've listened to the fact that, hey guys, not all princesses need to be white. Not all princesses need to be saved. And they've made some changes, and I kind of like that. And Pixar has given us some good, although one of their really powerful princess characters in Brave, I really hated the ending. I thought the ending was just such a blow off ending.
Ah, what happened? No, not what happened, like spoilers, but why did you not like it? Was she not actually that brave?
Well, it changes from a movie about her to more of a movie about her and her mother. And in the beginning, the conflict is set up that she has to pick a prince or one of the noble boys who come as her marriage partner. And at the end, she doesn't even pick anybody, basically. So it's really, to me, it was like a letdown because I wanted her to make a statement. So, and that's the feminist in me. I am an old school feminist. I'm 56 years old. So I was a feminist back when we were doing Birkenstocks and flannel.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can totally appreciate that. I think, to be honest with you, what I've read about Disney is that they are one of the biggest LGBTQ plus employers. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's softly, slowly, little steps with what they put into the movies, but they're a big employer of LGBTQ plus, and obviously they take that part of the diversity in the employment structure really seriously. So I think that's got to count for something.
I think so very much. And they do Gay Day at Disney. Disney, wow.
Gay Day at Disney, bit of alliteration there.
But they haven't, to my knowledge, I think maybe way back in the 80s or the 90s, there was a little kerfuffle about, no, you can't come, but how can they stop us from showing up at their gate? But Gay Day at Disney is still a big, huge thing in June. I don't know if Disney World,
that's great.
I know that the Florida one does it a lot. And I don't know if Disneyland, I always get it mixed up. I don't know if the California one does it as much. I would assume.
Awesome.
So let me ask you my next question. What brought you to the craft? What brought you into doing magic or any of that thing?
Sanity, really. I was a natural witch in the sense that I think all children are. So, you know, all children, I think, really, well, a lot of kids, if you watch them, they scry, they go into trances, they daydream, they use their imagination. It's incredible. So much of the stuff they do is so witchy, and that's why kids are so often attracted to decks and crystal balls. And if they've got a witchy auntie, they're all over that stuff because they understand it. It is actually their natural. It kind of correlates more with their natural state of being. We have to work much harder when we get older. We've got all this other crap in the way, but there's so much. Or in my opinion, they're so much closer to Godhead. They're so much more cosmic, you know, by default, because they haven't been affected by all those things yet. So when I was a kid, I was super witchy, and I used to arrange things in patterns, and you know, I wanted to ritualistically arrange objects, and I felt that meant something, and then the energy could be transferred to this. And I was constantly scrying. I had a big piece of amethyst, and I'd scry with that as a kid. And I used to pretend to be a witch all the time. In fact, my dad had made for me an hourglass that was exactly like the one from The Witch that Wizard of Oz has, with green glittery sand in it. I wanted the exact one that she had, and a mortar and pestle. And I used to wear like the plastic Halloween witchy fingers, and I used to do impressions of the witch, you know, I'll get you, my pretty, and all that. So I was balls deep in what I felt at the time was like witchy. Of course, a lot of it correlates with the stuff that we do, and a lot of it, of course, doesn't. But then when I got older and I started to really struggle with my mental health, and also just with typical teenage shit, hormones and identity and things like that, I felt called back to it. And I'd like, you know, when the craft came out, I felt very called to that. I was like, I want to fucking do some shit like this. I felt just really inexplicably called. And I went back to it. So I claimed the idea when I was about 12 or 13. And that's when I started playing with cards as well. Then I dropped that off and became kind of like a shaven-headed punk. And then, like, over the time, so that I was a teenager, I was like, I'm a witch. I said in an early video of mine that it was a little bit like a very heavy, very opulent fur coat that I would wear, and then I would shrug it off. I'd be like, no, it's too burdensome, it's too weird, I don't know if it suits me. But then I'd always go to the cupboard and get it again and be like, no, I am a witch, I am. And then in the end, I was like, look, fuck it, I'm a witch. I need me an older. Like, I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And I really think it was my shamanic prescription. It was like my soul was saying, you need to do these things. You need to do these things. You need ritual. You need spells. You need to pay attention to the moon. You're not well, and to get well, you have to embrace this part of your nature, and it
Oh,
works.
very, very cool. I think that I've met a lot of people who have found resonance for their because I have, we won't even start listing, but I've had issues in my life where the craft has indeed helped me, okay, settle in, get real, focus. And I didn't learn that in any other path. I learned that ability to settle in and focus, or as I used to joke with my students, stop, ground, and center.
Yeah, totally. No, it does feel like that for sure. I think if it's a strong calling within you, then when everything goes higgledy-piggledy, I think we do need to be able to go to the center. Or if you look at the tower card in tarot, I always think the ground underneath the tower is the thing that is the most important, because when everything crumbles, that's what's left, and that's the point of the card. That's what people miss. It's about what's left when everything else is dust. What do you go to? And I think for a lot of witches, it is that. Like when everything is just like topsy-turvy and upside down and inside out, when the brown stuff hits the big whirly thing, we chant, we do ritual, we do spells, we draw out sacred space,
Exactly. And I recently for me, 5-10 years ago, I heard somebody doing a talk on tarot, and I love going to classes on tarot. It's always, more and more and more. But they said the tower is built on lies we tell ourselves. And when it comes down, you've got to figure out what you're going to use to rebuild and how you're going to rebuild.
I love that. I love the idea that the architecture was always shoddy and you just didn't know it. And one day you were like, I don't know what I built this with, but it was never going to last.
Exactly. And it plays into the Christian story. It's a parable of the man who built his house on sand.
Yeah.
That's a tower story. So, and we could talk tarot all day.
Yeah. Very true. Guilty as charged.
So, and now question 3, of course, is what's your favorite form of divination?
Of course, tarot, but I also am very affectionate. I'm very affectionate about my runes, but I have a much more sort of personal way of using them. I used to cast full on rune readings for clients. I don't do that so much anymore because there wasn't as much call for it. So I only have one sort of small rune reading now, but I use runes in my magic a lot and in my ritual a lot. And you know what? I'm growing ever so fond of my crystal ball. It's a much more recent purchase, but I love it. I just absolutely love it. Me and this crystal ball have just bonded. So, but tarot, of course, like, if everything else had to go on the pyre, goddess forbid, tarot would be the one I would save.
Yeah, I laugh because I have a crystal ball and I got it. I don't know if this is a store that's over there, but it's Sears and Roebuck, or Sears over here.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but we don't have it.
Yeah, it's just a basic, department store. It's like Harrods, but probably a lot smaller. And that you go in and get clothes, toys, whatever. But I walked in one day in the 80s, and there was a freaking display of crystal balls.
Wow. Oh
so
my God.
That's where I got mine. And it's not glass, which I at first thought it might be because I looked, but it's got inclusions and it's a crystal ball.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, who knew that you'd find something like that at Sears and Roebuck?
That's great.
Now, have you ever done a working that backfired on you or didn't bring you the expected results?
Definitely that didn't bring me the expected results. I kind of like when I started getting interested in sort of the more new age paradigm type stuff, or at least the language and breaking down what it meant, like what is the difference between magic and manifestation? Is there any essential difference? These people seem to prefer manifestation, but isn't what they're really doing magic? And I would have all this like dialogue with myself. One thing that really interested me about a lot of what new age people talk about when it comes to manifesting is the idea of just summoning what is for your highest good, but not being uber specific about the package that it comes in, or indeed what it is. A lot of the new age people I used to watch on YouTube, like Cora Flora and Leia Tarunan and people like that, they would always say like, you know, I open myself up to whatever is for my highest good. Let that come through and let all negativity cease. But there was no specific instruction. And what I liked about that was that I felt like they were saying, my ego doesn't fucking know what's best. Whatever's for my highest good, that's what I'm calling in. I don't know what it looks like. I think if I let my ego be in the driver's seat, it'd probably drive me somewhere wrong. So spirit, let go and let God, just whatever's for my highest good. And I actually really started to adopt that with workings. And quite often I would say something, I would kind of devise the spell so that it was like, this is what I fucking fancy, but that or whatever is for my highest good. Because I felt like I had to accept, like my ego doesn't always know. You know, so I felt like that was first of all an acceptance for me that magic doesn't always materialize the way you want it to. And second
Amen.
of all, yeah, and second of all, it was, and so I was less surprised when things came in weird packages. I was like, all right, fair enough. That's what I asked for, but different. You know, once I asked for money and we found a load of Pokemon cards in the bottom drawer, and I was like, oh, that had to come in some sort of package. I was doubted I was going to find money under my pillow, so, but I didn't know how it was going to come. I was just like, however, wherever, in some way, need some money right now. That big fish, little fish cardboard box there. I don't know why. But you know, so I had to let go. And since then, I've been a lot more like almost excited, like a kid on Christmas. Like, well, I've done a spell. I don't know how it's all going to come together. And I don't know if it's going to give me what I want or what I need, like Rolling Stone style. Yeah. And I do think, you know what, sometimes you do get what you need with magic. And I have to say, you know what, fair enough. I asked for this. I've gotten this. It's not what I wanted, but it is what I fucking need. And really, if I'm honest with myself, that is the truth. So I have called in what was for my highest good.
Yeah, and I think that the idea of self-responsibility and self-realization is huge when working magic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a country singer named Garth Brooks. He's pretty.
Oh, yeah. I love Garth.
And he's got a song called "I Thank God for Unanswered Prayers."
I love that. That's
It,
so, oh, yeah.
it's a beautiful song and it's a beautiful message. He goes with his wife back to his hometown for a high school reunion, and he sees the girl that he used to literally kneel and pray to God to send him to get him together with this girl, and it never happened.
Yeah.
And he realized that had he been with her, he wouldn't have met his wife.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's a really cool. He's such a storyteller, Garth Brooks. My dad used to love Garth Brooks when I was growing up, and I really used to pay attention to the lyrics.
Yeah, he's one of my. I love country and western. I love it. I'm not a heavy metal person. I'm not a punk person. Audio really affects me emotionally, so I need the stuff that's pretty calm. I tell people wallpaper music is my genre. Music that just kind of hangs there.
Mm-hmm. Like ambient, you mean?
Yeah, ambient is a much nicer thing to call it.
Wallpaper music is great. That sounds like the name of some sort of hipster band. Wallpaper music. I like that a lot.
So here I have a next question, and this question is actually a Southwest food question, but I've been told that the question to ask people on your side of the pond is brown sauce or ketchup.
Oh, ketchup. I don't really like brown sauce. No, I do like ketchup on chips, like you know, fries with loads and loads and loads of salt and vinegar. And you're like, I'm a vegan, so I've had to cut out a lot of stuff that's well naughty. So for me, like chips, you know, they are like the pinnacle. Like fries, but they're like fish and chip shop type. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the big thick ones, yeah.
Oh, they're so specific to this country. They don't do them anywhere else, really, I don't think. I love the skinny fries you've got in America, though. Like, we're always trying to perfect the skinny fry, but I went over there and I was like, no, this is the real shizzle. But yeah, we have a different kind of like chips, and I like them with loads of salt and vinegar and loads of ketchup. I'm not into brown sauce, but my man Badger that I live with, he has to have brown sauce. I don't even really like the smell of it. Is that what you have, brown sauce over there as well?
Apparently we call it barbecue sauce, is what I'm being told. Barbecue sauce here is ketchup, vinegar, some brown sugar, and generally something to make it just a little spicy, but it's a sweet, spicy red sauce.
We have barbecue sauce. Brown sauce is different. But I
Oh,
don't, yeah. We have barbecue sauce. We order it with like our pizzas and stuff like that, and ribs, and it does taste different. And I do actually like barbecue sauce. And like, I'm always joking though, like that I am kind of an honorary American. Like just anything you invent, I'm like, yeah, this is good. Barbecue sauce is lovely. Brown sauce, I'm quite sure, isn't so much of an American thing, but you're not missing anything. Yeah, you've got the best stuff. Carry on, carry on. It's all good.
Well, normally I ask people red sauce, green sauce, because here in the Southwest, you could actually get into serious intellectual arguments over whether you're a red sauce person or a green sauce or the quintessential Christmas person who likes both.
Yeah, that's funny. And do you have burger sauce where you stir like two things together for burger sauce? Like, is it mayonnaise and ketchup, I think?
Mayonnaise and ketchup generally, or like they actually put on it is thousand dressing.
Yeah. I don't think I can have that anymore. I do like mustard a lot. Mustard's lovely. Oh yeah, mustard.
Yeah, I am a mustard. My favorite meal would be, well, you would probably do vegan cheese, but I love mustard, really sharp cheddar cheese, and sweet pickles.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds lovely. Yeah. No, I do. I don't spend a great deal of money on the substitutes for meat and cheese, but every so often, I do what I need a cheeseburger, and I go and get the stuff down the road from me. There's a Holland and Barrett where they do all the things to make you feel like you're having a chicken Alfredo or whatever it is that you miss. And I've perfected my vegan chicken Alfredo is stupid. I mean, I made it for my Italian friend, and he was like, "Fair play, this is lush." And I was like, "Whoa, yeah." So yeah,
right?
like,
That's really difficult to make vegan. I mean,
it's great. The soy cream they have is great these days. So just like, yeah, I'll just follow the recipes online, and if I miss things that are creamy or meaty, I can make it happen. I try not to do it much because it costs a lot and stuff, but every so often you just need some cheesy chips or cheesy pickles, or just cheese. You need it.
I lived a vegetarian lifestyle, not vegan, but vegetarian for 3 years. It actually wasn't good for me in terms of my health. And I did things like I made cashew meatballs for spaghetti, and I did a lot of protein. But apparently I'm one of those body types or blood types that I actually need the meat protein over the other.
Yeah, I've been told this before. I've got a couple of friends that say that as well.
Yeah, so I'm pretty cautious about how much red meat I eat, simply because it's just not as good for you. And as you get older, it's not good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, if you're going to have a steak, I haven't had a steak since I was like 14, but I think I can still remember the taste of it and the after effects of it. It's very heavy meat, and you're right, it's not great for health. But I think if you're going to have one, make it a big flipping, like 45 pound, 50 whatever restaurant steak, not pound as in weight, but pound as in money, and like have it with a glass of claret and really enjoy it. Like, make it a treat, make it rare and make it a treat. Look at me, I'm a vegan, and I'm like, if you're going to eat a steak, mate, do it up right. All right, get the garnish on it, you know what I mean? Take a photo for Instagram. Hashtag go vegan, obviously, but I'm just letting you know, like, if you eat steak, do it right.
Right, and I'm big on how I cook, get my steak cooked, or how I cook it. And it's the one thing in this world, I'm super easygoing, but if I go to a restaurant and order a steak and you bring it to me overcooked, back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They shouldn't be offering it rare or tartare if they can't do it. You can either pan fry, you can flash fry something, or you can't. And if you can't, you shouldn't be a chef. Oh, dear.
Yeah. I just went to a restaurant here locally and sent the steak back, and the one that came out was closer, but not right. But I was just like, I'll just eat it and go, because I'm hungry.
Yeah, but you won't come back. That's the thing. You're like, I'll remember this and I'll resent it.
Yeah. Well, and where I live, you don't have the option of resenting a restaurant because we have like 5 total.
Okay. Oh, you're going to school them then, Arwen. You've got to.
Yeah, the next time I will be very specific on exactly how I want my steak, because I have told people when they say rare, I said slap it on the ass, run it past the fire, and bring it out.
Yeah, that's what my mate always says. He always says, like, take your horns out, wipe its ass, bring it to me. And I'm like, oh, come on, that's terrible. But like, yeah, I want it blue. I want it still throbbing, but alive a minute ago. Yeah, no, you've got to get in there, get an apron, go in there and show them how to flash fry.
I've actually thought about that. They wouldn't,
I bet you
appreciate the Arwen coming in because the finger would be up. Now, Kellyanne, question 6. Is there an afterlife in your belief system?
I don't spend too much time thinking about it, but I have thought about the fact that I believe, that energy is infinite, and I believe that something's animating me, and I don't believe that what animates me ceases when I cease as an individual. I definitely believe that I'm a one-time dealio, but I also believe that I'm animated by something, and that something has had many, many, many lives before me. And I think that's why people have these feelings. It's the essence of them that is animating them, that has animated many lives or things or creatures or objects or whatever before. I can definitely get down with that. I definitely can. That makes sense to me. It's not my concern. I do not remember any past lives that I've had. I've never had any. I had a serious phobia of hangings growing up, and my mother's friend, who was very, very witchy woo woo, insisted that I had been hanged for being a witch. But I don't know, I have no memory of that, but I'm still awkward about hangings even now. I don't know why, I'm not sure, but it's always been it was a really big thing for me when I was younger. And she said, you were hanged for being a witch, and she was very sure. So it's not something that interests me. So what interests me about reincarnation is how different cultures and civilizations and theologies see it. But I'm not that bothered about narrowing down how I see it. But I do understand how there could be such things as memories of past lives or ghosts, because that's kind of where the energy tries to get out and somehow it doesn't transfer correctly and it ends up hanging around. I can definitely see how that could be true. And I think in much the same way as sometimes when we give somebody a limb transplant, apparently they start to actually have memories of from the person who the limb transplant was from. I've read a lot of cases of this, and I think that our soul energy, our essence that animates us is the same. So I'm me, but my energy could have animated, like a man in the American Civil War. And so I could be like, what, I really believe that's who I used to be. And I can definitely see that could be possible. So I have no disbelief of people that say that. And I have actually had a few incredible experiences of doing past life readings for people where I channeled what I felt was going on with them. And I've had a few incredibly intense experiences of people like crying because I had voiced for them what they had thought for years that had happened to them and stuff like that. And they were like, that's it. That is how it, yes. And is that how, that's exactly how I think I died. And I'm like, the fuck? And they're like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. That's what I just came out my mouth, that I thought that's what happened. And it really resonated with them.
That's what I do. I will tell people I will be reading and I tell people I have verbal diarrhea because it's kind of coming in from here and I'm just going, bleh.
Yeah.
And I'll say stuff and go, I have no idea why I said that. And they will inevitably say, oh, that's because blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Yeah, I've had people say like, like all kinds of things, like explaining to me, like, it's very strange you should say that because this and this and this about my life or my experiences or dreams I've had or whatever. But the first past life reading I did, I really didn't want to do it. It was years ago and it was a friend's mum and she's bugging me about it for ages. And she still to this day, I remember her as having the strongest response. She just got right up out of her chair and she burst into tears and she went into the next room and like got her son, who was my friend at the time. And she was like, go in there and get her to tell you what she just told me. I told you that's what happened to me. And she's just said it. And I was really like, I've got cosmic power. It was great. I was like Jafar from Aladdin. I was like, the power went completely to my head. It was great.
Oh, Mary Nail of Attune Magazine is in chat. And she just asked, is there a particular deck that you prefer for past life readings?
Yeah, the Rider-Waite, actually. Yeah. And I think that's because I had such an incredible first experience with the Rider-Waite doing a past life reading. So it always winks at me. I don't do them actually at the moment anymore. I find them incredibly draining. And I find that they play on my mind afterwards. A few of the ones that I really, that like a lot of people were like, that's really interesting. That's really cool. I have to think about how that applies. But the people that were like, fuck me hard. That is exact. I'm shot. I need to sit down. those readings stayed with me because I'd be like, how am I fucking doing this? And it would really start to play on my mind. So I kind of had to stop for a bit. But the Rider-Waite, I had such a positive first experience with it. I always would do past life readings with it. I wouldn't mind trying to do some with the crystal ball though, because that thing dances.
That'd be very interesting. Now let's jump ahead to 7. It's deserted island time. You are fixing to get dumped on a deserted island, and you can take 5 magical tools. What do you take?
Ah, this is so cool. I would take, obviously, my book of mirrors. Need a journal, don't you, to write all these things down. Obviously, a tarot deck, probably the Rider-Waite, because die-hard loyalist, really. After that, things get a bit foggy, really, because there's lots of things I love. But what? God, hang on, there's 3 more. I will take my runes. Sorry, crystal ball, but like me and the runes have been ride or die for a while now, and you've only just come into the picture. So I would take my cauldron, and like I don't know if I can have like matches as well, or if that would be the yeah. I'll take the cauldron, and I'll take something to light stuff, because I really love, because I can use some pages from the book of mirrors. I really love to burn things. It's my favorite way to do quick, easy ritual and sometimes spellcraft, is to write something down and symbolically burn it, and it's just so potent. So yeah, I'll take the cauldron. The cauldron's become much more a big part of my practice.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, what herbs are must-haves? We're going to limit to 3 in your kitchen and your spell work. What does double duty for you?
That's a really good question. Well, I'll say black pepper is really potent for me, but I don't so much. I do use black pepper in spellcraft, but what I really like is burning black pepper oil. That is the shizzle. That is so good. That's really, really good for doing cauldron work, cauldron spell work. It's good for making spell bottles. It's really awesome for just clearing negativity and neutralizing space. And it just makes me also feel very like, I get when I smell black pepper or work with black pepper, I get a Joan of Arc vibe. I'm just like, I don't know, I just feel like I could do anything now. So there's that. In the kitchen and in the and on the altar. It's a good question, because a lot of the stuff I work with on the altar is like lavender and shit that you just would not want to eat. Well, maybe you would if you were like French or something weird, but you don't want to eat it here. We don't have all that fancy stuff here. Salt, of course, that's a really popular one. And what's the other one? What's in it? Well, salt's a mineral, but give it to me as a herb, because there's not much crossover.
Salt works. Mineral, herb, yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, but not leastly, I reckon I've done a couple of spells with paprika, and I substituted it for turmeric once, and it works better. I'm not hugely into herbs, but I was using turmeric for a while for something very specific, and I swapped it for paprika. Honestly, I'm going to be clearly honest, because I did not have any turmeric left, and I thought, well, I'll fucking give it a whirl. And I preferred it much more, much more. And of course, we always have paprika in the kitchen. It's like, you know, my granddad was Mexican. It's got to happen. So yeah, paprika. It's powerful. It's fiery. So that's the crossover. But there's not much, you know. Oh, well, that's not a herb either. But I was going to say vanilla. Vanilla essence I have in the kitchen, and I love vanilla to use at the altar as well. So that's a bonus 4th. That's not a herb again.
And I keep telling people herbs, and I need to change the question up, because you're the first person who said salt. And for me, salt and pepper and cinnamon would be like my top 3. Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me it's not a herb till after I said it. Then I was like, that's a fucking mineral. I don't think pepper's a herb either. I was just thinking about substances, really. But I am no herbalist, and I freely admit that. It's not my area of expertise whatsoever. And that is why I go to witches who are herbalists, who grow their own herbs, who harvest their herbs to make oils for me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of witches are like, make your own oils, make your own mixtures. Why? There's amazing witches who are really, really up on this shit, who make them and sell them. Like, they know what they're doing. Herbalism doesn't speak to me. I'd rather drop coin on a woman who knows what they're doing. I personally knows what they're doing.
Thank you. That's I have it's an anti-inflammatory, and it's ginger, turmeric, black pepper,
Oh, ginger, I love it.
And it's, you take this, I haven't opened it, Anne's going to look at this and laugh, but it's the woman who does this is the editor of a magazine over here, and she heard that I had a cold once, and she said, I make this cough syrup. We got the cough syrup, and both my husband and I were like, we got to have this every winter because this shit works.
Wicked.
And it's elderberry, and it's Oregon grape, which is they call it trash berry, I think, or trash grape, but it grows on the side of the road, so people go pick it and then they make stuff with it. But let's move on and see what's the next one. Oh, powdered or rolled incense, that is.
By powdered, do you mean loose?
Yes. Yeah, so stick or cone or loose incense. Yeah.
I'm going to be a complete Philistine and say rolled for ease. I love rolled. It's easier to store. It's easier to see what I've got in it. It's just all the sticks. You stack them up. If you get hem or flute, they stack up perfectly. They take up so little room. You can see instantly what you've got. Where a loose is all just like very difficult to see what you've got. It's much harder to store. You have to. There's a kerfuffle. There's always a bloody kerfuffle.
Yes.
And to be honest, there is. And I don't want to get another cauldron. But I'm not always. Sometimes I'm doing things in my cauldron. Sometimes there's actively a spell in my cauldron, so there's nowhere to burn the loose incense. I'll have to get more fireproof dishes. What is the point when you could just get a stick, whack it on? Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And also, the length of a stick is exactly how much smoke I want in the room. It's perfectly created. When it's loose, I could screw it up and have to open the window, or it's too little and I have to keep applying. Now, it makes me feel very witchy to put loose incense in the cauldron. I feel like it looks the part, but practically I'm rolled every time, to be honest.
Yeah, I used to be really into making my own incense, and I would put the saltpeter in it so you got a little sparkle when you put it in.
Lovely.
And I was really kind of a snob because my incense had to be made the day of ritual or the day before. It had to be made very, very close to it. And I wanted to have a controlled amount because I don't like making huge, big bundles of loose incense, and then you try to burn it 6 weeks later, and you're like, yeah, that smells like sawdust.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're getting into the end of it. We're at question 10. Okay. How do you intentionally honor or care for your deity? If there are things that you can tell us, some people can't, so I honor that.
You know what? It's really interesting you should ask that question because I intend to make a video about this quite soon. Because I think I've given people the distinct impression that that hell is far more central to the actual practicalities of my daily practice than she is. I'm not a polytheist. I'm not a soft polytheist. I'm a pantheist. But I talk about my deity in soft polytheistic terms because when you start to work with an archetype, you recognize that an archetype is an egregore. So much energy is put behind it that it's absolutely real, like it is alive. But I don't really pick up the phone to her, like, you know what I mean? Like there's differences, and I don't think I've explained them very well. When I do devotionals to my matron deity, or so essentially I like to use beads, prayer beads, to do like mantras and to send out intentions and stuff like that. And sometimes I will feel called to use her beads, and every other bead will be an address to her. And so it's like I send out my intentions or I do whatever I'm doing, but then every other bead is an address to her. And so she's very much like part of it. So that's one thing that I do to honor her. She has her own candle. In fact, she has her 2 own candles. She's got a big black candle that I light every dark moon, which is when I work with her. But then she's also got like a tea light candle, which is ensconced in some sort of crazy skull. And I like to light that just whenever I'm at my altar, really, because it looks really cool. And it reminds me that I'm a daughter of a death goddess. So I like that. So I do that. On the new moon or the dark moon, new moon, I know some people use those terms interchangeably. For me, the new moon would be the very first little slice of light. And the dark moon is when it's totally dark. But yeah, when I honor her, then things get much more serious. So I have a much longer address that I do to her. I also throw runes. If I really feel like I want to connect with her energy to know something, or to steel myself for something. I won't always necessarily cast, but I have a cloth that I designed just for me to commune with her using runes. And I cast runes for specific messages for specific things. That is awesome and it always goes really well. And then there was one more thing that I wanted to mention that I also do. I can't think what it is now, but essentially the key thing really is during the dark moon. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to mention. Samhain, I do something a little. I do push the boat out for her. Samhain, I usually do the ritual based around her because, of course, like she's Lady Death. Why not? But on Samhain, I write a big poem for her, like a huge address, and it's really, really overblown. Like, just imagine me in a watering hole somewhere with a fucking feather quill, writing like a really romantic, overblown poem to my lady, and then I read it for her at Samhain and I burn it. And I've done that since 2011, and that's like how I really say, look, I know I'm a hoe and I kind of like sleep around, but you're my wife. Don't ever forget, I love you first and only and last and always. So it's kind of like that. It's like I remarry her every Samhain, if you like.
That's beautiful. Now, what do you do for yourself for self-care? What does Kellyanne do when Kellyanne needs just to be pampered or a little coddling? We all need that every now and then. How do you offer that to yourself?
I have a big list of ways, and I like to change it up. But some of the things I love to do are long walks. I like to go witchy shopping, especially thrift shopping, as you say over there. Love doing that. I love doing that. I'm overdue some thrift shopping, actually. I like long baths because I have a herniated L4 in the bottom of my spine, and I just love to like unwind and relax and have a good bath. Reading, hitting the book list. I get very little reading done nowadays, the amount of other things I have to do. So if I can get some time in, like that's over an hour to read, that's lovely. And I really like just clearing the whole floor next to my altar, carving out sacred space with a massive stack of magazines, some Pritt sticks and some scissors, because I love making collage. I've got several books that are art books that I just make art in. Some of them are themed, some of them aren't. And if I've got a day and I don't have anything to do and I'm at home, I would like to be ripping and sticking. I would like to be putting things in those books. And I love doing that so much.
Beautiful. I love that. I love to look at collage art. I'm one of those people that would love to be crafty, but my husband jokes about, that someday we're going to clear out the garage and everything that's going is one day I'm going to do that. All those projects are out the door. Now, name something that always brings you joy.
That's a really good question. Words, language. It always brings me joy. I love talking and I love listening to people talk. I love reading and I love writing. I have always, since I was very young, known that it is a huge privilege to be literate, to be able to read and write, and that not everybody has that opportunity. And sometimes when I am writing or reading, I feel overwhelmed with a huge gratitude, because language is just, it's like the alpha and omega for me. I love words. So I would say that always brings me joy.
That is such a beautiful, that actually literally brought tears to my eyes. And I love that you honor the fact that being literate is a gift. It's not something that everybody has the opportunity to do. So
yeah, it's very true.
Now, what is your favorite meal? This is question 13, so we're almost done. Now, you can almost run away.
My favorite meal at the moment is so random. Right, okay, there's a favorite meal and a favorite snack. Like, my favorite meal is like a salad with just loads of gorgeous stuff in it. So like put some rocket in there, some chickpeas, some red onion, some avocado, all that kind of thing. There's so much stuff that I love in a salad. I love red pepper, like red bell pepper, all of that kind of thing. Stir it all up, put some like balsamic vinegar on there, and then also some like French dressing. Oh, so good. And then heat up some like tortilla wrap type things so I can make some wraps out of it. That's perfect. Yeah. And then for a snack, I really just like to slice an avocado in half, like kind of put some salt over it, and just actually eat it with a spoon like a boiled egg. with like some garlic and jalapeno stuffed olives as well. It's just like,
Well, I think we may be related because one of my very favorite things to do, because I love salads, are what my family will ask me to bring when we have big dinners, because I go all out. I want to cut the cherry tomatoes. I want to arrange it. I want artichoke hearts. But I also, for me, I make an artichoke dressing for them because that's what they like. But for me, balsamic vinegar, and then I use Catalina instead of French. It's sort of like French, but it's a little brighter for me. But I mix those two. So when you said that, I thought I was the only person. But balsamic vinegar I can drink just straight up.
Oh, I know. Isn't it gorgeous? I like to roast potatoes with it as well, or roast veg with it. Oh, my God.
And just a little bit of rosemary on it.
Yes. Oh, the smell of that. Yeah. Yeah, I love all that. I love all that shizzle. So nice.
I just had lunch. Now I'm hungry again.
I know, me too.
So, question 14. What is a ghost story you could share with us? Do you have one? Funny, scary, it doesn't matter, but a personal experience with the other side.
I've only got one, you know. It's nothing like that's ever really happened to me apart from this one time. And it really, really freaked me out. My mum was taking care of her employee's home. And she was like, you've got to come and stay at this house. It's fantastic. It's like a 10-bedroom, 3-story house. It used to be like the old schoolmaster's house, and it's attached to a Victorian school. All the kids are gone for the summer. Come and stay. We'll get drunk on Prosecco and peruse the grounds, darling. And I was like, that sounds amazing. Where do I sign up? So I went to this house, and my mum was like, I've got to pop out and run some errands. I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go upstairs into one of the bedrooms and make a video. And she was like, okay, cool. So I went up to one of the bedrooms. I actually went into the couple's like master bedroom, and I was sat in there making a video, and something in there wasn't right. I felt wrong in there. I felt like I wasn't alone. And there was a large dresser mirror, like an old Victorian kind of dresser. And I remember distinctly avoiding the mirror after a while, because I really felt as I was filming the video, like I was going to fucking see something in that mirror. And I thought to myself, well, I didn't do jump cuts at the time. I didn't do edits. So I was like, look, I'm 10 minutes in now. I'm just going to ride it out because I really want to get this video up. But I feel that I'm not alone in here. It's actually really starting to make me quite tense. And at one point I heard something that sounded really dodgy. And then I was like, just carry on, just carry on. Anyway, I stopped the video and I was like, okay, that's that done. And it was at that point that I felt very, very strongly that it was very close to me. And I knew in my heart of hearts that it was an adolescent girl. I never saw it, but it was an adolescent girl, and she did not fucking want me there. She was not happy. And I grabbed my tripod and my camera and I ran the fuck out of that room. I knocked a big pile of washing over on the way out as well. I was like, ah. And then later when I uploaded that video, somebody commented underneath it and said, I don't know what was going on at 5:24, but I heard something and it really creeped me out. And I just replied back, yeah, you did. Creep me out too. I was not alone in that room. So yeah, somebody else heard it as well and knew that it wasn't like a car or something. It was something. It was very slight, but it was a bit of a growly sound.
Yeah, apparently I was when I don't know if it was Ember and I or if it was Witchy Bear, but I was doing an interview. And people were talking about the fact in the comments that they could hear a voice in the background. Now, I've listened to it. I don't hear it. I hear a fan. I hear my chair, but I do not hear this voice. But a lot of people said they heard it. So
interesting. Yeah, I'd be one of them that didn't. I've actually stayed in a room once, which is apparently well and truly haunted. A lot of people have felt it. And my mum put me and my boyfriend in that room without telling us. And whether it was haunted, the next day she went, either of you have an interesting night's sleep? Feel anything in there? And I was just like, yeah, slept like a log. Thanks, Mum. And my boyfriend was like, I felt like something was sitting on my chest at one point. I thought it was sleep paralysis. And my mum was like, didn't expect you to be the one to feel it. I thought Witchy Pants over here would be the one to feel it. I was like, no, I didn't feel anything. What, was it really bad? And my boyfriend was like, yeah, man, that room is haunted as fuck. Did you not sense it? I was like, nah.
I officially love your mom.
Yeah, she's great.
So the last question is, what's your best advice to somebody who's starting out on their own path? What would you tell somebody the one Kellyanne lesson of life.
When you started this chat between us, you mentioned that you can't stand this kind of whole rhetoric about there's one right way, this is how you do it, and when you do this, when you go off the beaten track, when you dance to the beat of your own drum, you're doing it wrong. And I also similarly can't handle that. It gives me a rash when people talk like that. It's not for me. Well, I don't like it. And so I would very much say, obviously, follow your own nose. I would say, a lot of people say a lot of shit. I remember over the past, the years I've been hobnobbing with other witches. Lots of witches have said lots of things that some witches have said, don't be a chaos witch, it's not a good idea, and I just didn't listen. Some witches have said it's not about the aesthetic, it's about what you do and all the rest of it. But, I am switched on by aesthetic. I need things to look a certain way. And a lot of witches will say that's shallow or whatever, but that's what works for me. It's empowering for me. So you've got to go where you find your power. And there will be some witches that are like, you shouldn't find your power there. It's dangerous, or it's shallow, it's fickle, it's pointless. It doesn't matter. If you feel like Joan of Arc about to march into a town with a fucking army behind you when you do something, that's what matters. Because there's no point trying to do magic feeling impotent, feeling like you got no teeth, So I would say go where you find power and potency, and other people can go where they find power and potency. But if you're really going to be able to do something, you've got to feel like, yeah, this is where I feel comfortable. This is great. And there'll always be somebody ready to heckle you for that, always. But that's their insecurity. If they're happy with their path, there should be no need to look over the fence and go, she's not doing it right.
Thank you. That's one of my big ones. If you're secure in yourself, what does it matter what somebody else is doing? If I believe that the Queen of Cups is an evil bitch card, why should I care that Kellyanne thinks she's a comforting woman? Caveat, I don't think the Queen of Cups is a bitch, but why should that matter?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter, I think, especially what's unpleasant is when somebody's just, minding their business and doing their thing and not trying to tell anybody else what to do. And then they get dogpiled with dogma. It's like, look, if one person comes in with this is the right way, then I almost feel like they get what they deserve when they meet someone else who goes, this is the right way. And then they can go at loggerheads and I can just back off and get a cocktail somewhere. But if one person's like, hey, this is what I do and this is what I think and it's great and it's going really well, and someone goes, oh, honey, no, then it's just like, but that's insecurity on your part. This person's flourishing. You can go flourish in your own way and you can honor that in each other. I mean, let's face it, pagans and witches, we are really the kind of people that can't agree on lunch. We're like herding kittens. We all want to build our own kingdom. We do not want to follow and do the same moves as everybody else. We are very much the kind of people that are like, I'll just leave this line dance and do my own fucking thing, thanks. So I don't understand why people want to bring rigidity and dogma in. Let's leave that stuff at the door and all attend the disco in our own unique way.
Yeah, I really think it's an ego issue. I really think it's and it's a self-esteem issue. If you're not confident in yourself, well then, when people talk to me about things, I try to get real focused on the fact of, tell me why you like strawberry jam, not why you think apple butter sucks.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the positive, what's working, and not about the bad, what you don't like. Because I don't really give a rat's ass about what you don't like. I'm way more excited about what you do like. Joyce?
Yeah. Same as me. It's more energizing. It's more inspiring. And there's so much complaining and naysaying and all the rest of it in the rest of the world. If we're going to talk about things we're passionate about, let's really talk about the things we're excited about. For definite, I'd rather do that than naysay or complain. I have my moments, so I'm not superhuman, but most of the time I like to keep it positive. I was a real miserable bitch for a long time, so I really like to just sort of ixnay on that and be excited and be happy. And I also feel like it's okay to say you wouldn't. I'm a caveat person because it only takes a couple of seconds to give a disclaimer. I know a lot of people don't like to do it, but I like to regularly say, this is just how I feel. If you do it differently or this doesn't resonate, don't take it. don't fucking take it. But like, I'm happy to say I wouldn't do something a specific way, or I think it is a shame that people, you know, for instance, only dedicate to like one deity and tell themselves they need to stay with that deity, even if deep down they know they've moved on. Like, you know, I can say I think that that is maybe ill-advised in a lot of cases, but I don't mean don't do it. I just mean I wouldn't do it. Like, I'm really interested in people that have paths that are polar opposite to me. I want to learn from them. I don't want to shut them down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, I've got to actually end this. My husband's waiting for me to help move some heavy stuff. I just heard him in the house, so I know he came home from work. But when I say goodbye, I always say seek joy, y'all. How do you end your videos?
I say much love, blessed be.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Seek joy, y'all. Pass it on.